the good news. As we sit here, you have been nominated for Outstanding Supporting Performance of the Year in BlackBerry right off the bat.
That's right.
And I think it's the first of many to come. The minute I saw this movie, it was sent to me. I watched it and reviewed it out of the Berlin Film Festival without being there. And I looked at this and I said, this guy is going to be in the conversation. Immediately, you just popped off that screen.
Oh, it's so wonderful. I felt like it was the first time I had the opportunity, was given a character that would even allow me to go to those places that I think, for me, create the kinds of performances that I find incredibly exciting. Look, I love a great, really small, subtle performance.
Right.
And I very much look forward to giving one of them one of these days. But I am attracted to larger than life characters, volatile. I'm attracted to volatility. It's just exciting to watch. It's like the dramatic equivalent of an action sequence.
How many are down?
Maybe 10,000?
Oh, Jesus. Okay. 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 Hello?
You have a collect call from.
What the fuck is happening?
Will you accept the charges? Are you still there?
Yeah, yes, I accept.
Thank you.
Mike,
Hi.
there are 3 reasons why people buy our phones. Do you know what they are?
We're email.
They fucking work.
Yeah, okay, it's not us, Jim, it's the carrier. Verizon is doing something weird.
Okay, well, I'm about to do something weird if you don't fix this. Now! The deal was, I get the engineers, you shrink the data!
Are you selling more phones?
What the hell do you think I've been doing over here, Mike? We're in the middle of a hostile fucking takeover! Do I need to have somebody babysit you, dork?
Okay, so that's, okay. Yeah, the entire system is crashing. He's selling more phones.
God damn it!
Yeah, so, okay.
You know, maybe just hold off selling more phones.
I'm not
Welcome to the Actor's Side today. You all know him from television, I think mostly everybody would. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the longest running sitcom in television history. Wow, that's something, which you also are an executive producer, writer, helped develop it, did all of that stuff in addition to playing Dennis. AP Bio, which was on NBC and then Peacock, and many others. But now, BlackBerry, which came out earlier this year, has brought you a whole new world of recognition. This is Glenn Howerton. Hi, welcome to the Actor's Side.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's true, right? BlackBerry is like, you shaved off your hair.
I did.
Played this character who is relation, we'll talk about that, to, I think, some of the other characters you've played in terms of intensity. But nevertheless, were you expecting this little independent movie to change your life in that way?
No, I've learned to temper my expectations in terms of like outcome. But I knew, what I did know was that it was a great script. And having seen Matt's prior films, I knew he was a good filmmaker. Having had multiple conversations with Matt.
That's Matt Johnson.
Sorry, Matt Johnson, the director.
And co-writer.
And co-writer with his producing partner, Matt Miller. But having had a lot of conversations with Matt Johnson and Matt Miller, actually, I knew I was in good hands. Like, I think I've been in the industry long enough to be able to tell when somebody really knows what they're doing. And has a good handle on the craft, and has a vision for something. And I could tell that they had a vision for this, that they knew what they wanted, and that it was very specific. And they wrote the script. So I was like, if these guys wrote the script, they clearly, can make a great film. So I knew the elements were all there to make something special. But what you never know is if people are going to care, if they're really going to pay attention to it and watch it. I mean, I think we knew that there was at least going to be somewhat of a built-in audience because of the subject matter.
Right, yeah.
I think there were a lot of people who probably, like me, were very curious as to what the story was behind BlackBerry because I didn't know anything about it, which was what struck me when I first got the script. Is I thought, wow, this is about a massive technology company, and I don't know the backstory behind this at all. And I thought, do other people know this? And I don't. And I it just was never what there was no Steve Jobs.
Right. No,
You know,
it was a
level of-
phone. It was a magical phone, one I loved dearly.
Did you love your BlackBerry?
Oh my God, the saddest day of my life is when I had to switch to this thing. This is an Apple, and I resisted it at all cost. I really love BlackBerry. I never thought I could do this. Took me a while. BlackBerry was just something special.
What'd you love about it?
I loved, first of all, the way it was compact for me and that I could learn to type quite easily on it. And I love the click. I love the click, man.
We talk about that in the movie a lot.
Yeah, and that was so real. The movie is so real in so many
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
Not just for BlackBerry, but for business, for wild swings that characters that really go out there. This guy's real, Jim Balsillie, right?
Yeah, he's a real guy. Yeah, Jim is. I didn't meet him prior to filming.
I was surprised he was not cooperative, or
No, it wasn't that he wasn't cooperative. We made a conscious decision. Look, whether this is the right choice or not is, we could debate that. But our feeling was we wanted to be true to the story we were trying to tell. We wanted to be true to the script, and we didn't want to cloud our allegiances by meeting somebody and then having I never wanted to get into a situation where I felt beholden to him.
Yeah.
I wanted to feel beholden to the story. Now, Mike Lazaridis is much more of an elusive person, as is Doug Freegan.
Yeah.
Both of those guys have been quite elusive. However, Jim, he came to the premiere.
Yeah.
So I got to meet him at the Toronto premiere, one of the premiere. I feel like we did like 15 premieres.
But Toronto would be a special premiere because
Yeah.
this is a Canadian story
It's
through
a Canadian
and through.
story. Yes. Another thing I didn't know going into this, that BlackBerry was a Canadian business. I did not know that.
You're not Canadian. You were actually born in Japan.
I was born in Japan.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that's interesting. You've really been a world traveler growing up. I think.
Yeah, I was all over the world from a very young age, traveling all over the place. So moving from place to place became very comfortable for me.
Well, what was Jim like at the premiere? Did he just love your performance? Did he say you nailed me, or what? That's got to be pressure on an actor.
He and I really didn't talk about the performance that much. He did mention to me he'd seen the film, and I'd actually read an interview that he did after he had screened the film at his house, I think by himself, or maybe with his wife or something. But and he gave an interview where he was very gracious. He was like, "It's a great movie. It's a lot of fun. It didn't happen exactly that way." But he didn't get into like defensiveness territory, other than to say that I think he sort of implied that he had more of a sense of humor and that he was more fun to be around than the character that I played in the film.
Yeah.
So I think that was the one thing I think he wanted to get across was like, I wasn't that tyrannical. I was maybe tyrannical at times, and I did what I needed to do, but I was fun too. I was a fun guy.
Yeah.
And we don't show that side of Jim all that much.
I don't think Jim's tyrannical at all. I think he's just obsessed. I think he's driven. I think he's self-confident and knows he can pull off miracles. When you said, you had a scene where you said, "Give me 1,000,000 Blackberries," I believed he believed that could happen.
I think you have to. I think at that level of success, it takes that degree of belief in order to pull something that huge off, that groundbreaking. I think it requires that kind of a personality. And you're right. I don't know that he necessarily was tyrannical, but I do think certainly the way he's perceived by some of the characters in the film,
Right, yeah.
clearly he's perceived as tyrannical. However, I think it's very clear in the film that if it wasn't for that drive and that insistence on speed and getting the job done, it never would have succeeded. It would have been a piece of technology with no customer.
Right, and these characters wonderfully played by the whole cast, Jay Baruchel and Matt, who is a key player in it as well.
Yeah.
They're just, movie night, now this, all this. No, this guy comes in. My wife, when she saw it, she's in business, she goes, thank God for that guy. Because it wouldn't have worked without him.
It's a funny dichotomy between the Jim Balsillie of it all and the sort of the computer nerds that built the phone. You know, that's one of the best parts about the movie, really, is that strange relationship between the business guy who doesn't really know anything about the technology and the guys who built it. And really, the only reason, they could even conceive of something like the BlackBerry was because they were Star Trek fans.
Right, yeah.
And they played video games and they were interested in the world of sci-fi. It was a piece of sci-fi is what it was, the cell phone. I mean, you think of the first flip phones. I mean, that's what they were building. Literally, the communicators that they had on Star Trek.
Yeah,
that's what they were doing.
You look at the reveal in the movie. Oh my God, this can send emails. This can do this. This is unheard of. It's like inventing the phone.
Yeah,
the telephone in a weird way.
Hard for someone who's, was born in this millennium to understand how, because it's almost like you'd explain that to somebody and they would probably say, well, couldn't you always do that? Because it's so ubiquitut now.
It is, right, I know.
But then it was, completely and totally groundbreaking.
And now I just want more, and want every AI just write the script for me, do the whole thing, It's there's a lot of issues we have going forward, but this is now a nice piece of nostalgia, ironically.
I know. Yeah.
Now, the decision to not wear a bald cap or to play it bald or, to go for that, was that tough for you to do or?
No, it was a conversation that I had with Matt, and I basically said to him, whatever it is, it's got to look good. Yeah. It's got to look real. Yeah. And I had a feeling that probably the way to make it look the realest was to shave it. And I also, frankly, from a practical standpoint, it seemed like a real pain in the ass to sit in the makeup chair for 3 hours every morning, getting a bald cap put on when I could just shave it. You know what I mean? So, after having conversations with the hair and makeup folks, it was very quickly decided that the easiest thing to do would be to shave it. And so we just shaved it every day, which became part of the routine.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You've been on one particular television show for 15 years. People know you from that and so many other things. And all of a sudden, you're bald. Did you worry that they might think, oh, this guy's been wearing a wig the whole time?
It's funny you bring that up. So obviously I lived as a man who was bald on top for, essentially 2 months while I was filming the movie. And what I realized was, I liked it.
Right.
I liked how it looked. I felt very, I don't know, just masculine. I felt filled with testosterone. I felt like it aged me up, but in a way that made me feel closer to the character.
Right.
So that was good. When I went out into public, in what little free time I had while I was living up in Canada, I would always wear a hat.
Yeah.
But it wasn't because I was self-conscious about being bald.
Right.
I didn't care about that. It was exactly what you said. The thing that made me self-conscious was the thought that somebody would recognize me from Sonny or AP Bio or whatever, and think like, oh, that guy's been wearing a wig all these years. He's actually bald. I didn't really, you know what I mean? Like now, if I was just bald, I wouldn't care. But but like the thing that bothered me was that if people thought that I wore a hairpiece or something.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, so
it's
so
funny.
a hat.
After you got into acting, you at one time wanted to be something else, right? You didn't start out before Juilliard. I know you went to Juilliard, but
I did. I thought that acting was just I don't know, maybe just like not a very practical pursuit. And by the way, it's not.
Yeah.
At all. And I was trying to be practical, and I loved math and science. It's like really weird for artists apparently to like math and science.
Yeah.
Like most artists, they like literature and history. I hated literature and history, and I loved math and science. And my dad was a pilot. My grandfather was a pilot. So I didn't want to be a pilot, but I thought building airplanes would be fun. So I was actually going to go to Auburn University for aeronautical engineering. That was my original plan. And then I got a full scholarship to this school in Miami, this arts and theater school in Miami. And it was actually my parents, my mom in particular, who went to me and said, do you think that if you don't try this, that you might regret it one day? You know, she said, if you don't like it or it doesn't work out, you can always go back to Auburn and get into engineering. You can always go back to that. But if you go down that road, maybe you'll get stuck there and you'll regret not having tried to be an actor. So I had a very strange experience of having my parents actually encourage me to try to become an actor, which is rare.
Worked out though.
Yeah, I'm very grateful to them for that level of support. Doing something that's so incredibly flaky and unpredictable.
And then Juilliard, and you played serious roles, and it wasn't just comedy right from the beginning.
No, not at all. I feel like the majority of what I did was dramatic work when I was at Juilliard, and then even the plays that I did after Juilliard were mostly dramatic. I was always drawn to comedy, but I didn't ever consider myself a comedy person.
Yeah.
However, when I look back on it now, I go, oh, I was always going to do comedy because. Even whenever I had a chance to choose a scene, or they do these things at the end of your final year, a lot of colleges where, you have, what is it called? You do a performance in front of a bunch of agents and casting directors and stuff like that, and you pick scenes.
Yeah.
And I very deliberately looked around and I saw that most of my classmates were choosing these very heavy, emotional scenes, and I thought, what if I, instead of doing that, if I just entertain people and just make people laugh?
Right.
And give them some relief from all this, heavy, dark stuff that they're going to be watching all night. So I chose 2 comedic scenes. And that was the best decision I could have possibly made because it had that exact effect. People were like, oh, thank God, something we can laugh at.
Yeah.
So I always loved comedy. And I think, again, looking back on it now, I think I was always destined to do comedy, but it was never my goal. It was never my goal.
But you took it even further as a writer, developing, creating, working, behind the scenes, producing. You have a number of producing credits and all of that. What drove you to sort of take charge of what you were doing in that way?
I think it's always been hard for me to just sit back and wait for things to happen. And I just needed to align myself with the right people. And when Rob and Charlie and I became
Rob Malkin
friends,
and Charlie Day.
Yeah,
Rob
Malkin.
What a great team. I mean, the 3 of you. You're doing a podcast now, right?
We have a podcast together. We've been working together for 20 years. We did the very first home movie version of It's Always Sunny back in November of 2003.
Wow.
So almost exactly 20 years ago, we shot the very first version of what would become It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
And you're still doing it.
And we're still doing it. And but it was just an exercise for us. It really was we never intended to sell it. We never intended to do anything with it. We just wanted to amuse ourselves and amuse our friends and we just wanted to make something.
Yeah.
It came from a very pure place. We weren't trying to do anything other than just make each other laugh. And then that became our guiding principle throughout the making of the show, and still is to not worry so much about anything other than making each other laugh and amusing each other. Yeah. And we have so much trust for each other at this point that it's become a goal that has been tried and true and has been proven to be a formula that works, is to just do it for each other. Because what we found is that not only does that make the show feel authentic, because it is,
right.
It's us, but that people are connecting to that in a way that I think we had never could possibly have anticipated. Never in a million years did I think the show would last as long as it has.
That's kind of I mean, we're going to be doing this for 20 years, 15 years.
No way.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
and a lot of actors would say, do I really want to play the same character for that long too? And won't I get bored or, all of that? But
And we've been through those phases too.
Yeah.
Where the show feels it's a little bit of a golden handcuffs situation, right? But at the end of the day, what we've realized is as writers, as creators, as people who have something to say, it's become this wonderful forum for us to get our thoughts and feelings out and and tell the stories that we want to tell through these characters. And it seems like we can almost do anything on that show.
Yeah.
The freedom that we've been afforded by FX and by our audience is truly unique, and it's a gift that we don't take for granted.
Yeah.
As tired as sometimes we get, and sometimes we think it's time to move on, we keep coming back because we love working with each other, and again, we recognize how rare it is to have something like that.
Well, the good news, as we sit here, you have been nominated for Outstanding Supporting Performance of the Year in BlackBerry right off the bat. Actually, it's being turned into a mini-series with AMC with scenes not seen and things. So it keeps evolving, which is great during this whole season. It's a long season. We will see you along the way, but thanks for joining us today on the
This has been
Actors
great.
Side.
This has been great. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.